about you is that you have ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one. I mean, it's been a wild past couple of days. I was actually going to go live with this this topic in terms of Tyreek yesterday, but I just had a busy day. I really wasn't around, so I said, you know what, we'll do that tomorrow along with the fish tank stuff. So I got the fish tank interview queued up. We'll go over that. It's about 30 minutes long. We'll look into that. On top of that, I put together about 12 minutes worth of segments over the last 48 hours regarding basically the media starting to turn on Tyreek Hill over what he said regarding Tua and Mahomes. And I mean, when I went live on Saturday and talked about the podcast, even when I tweeted out the show, I said, Tyreek kind of stirring the pot. And I did not think this situation would get this overblown as it's become. I mean, this is honestly kind of, we're bordering on room 112 where the players dwell. 112 people in the room. Smash that like button. We are bordering on insanity here. I mean, if you guys remember, I did a show maybe like a month and a half ago, and it actually blew up. I think it has like 16 or 17,000 views. It did some crazy numbers, and Dougley did a show regarding what I talked about, and a couple other platforms did shows regarding what I talked about. And the basic thing was how the media was turning on Tua Tagovailoa. And now it's crazy because the media is starting to turn on Tyreek Hill. And it's literally just a Strays situation. It's we're already aiming at, we're already gunning for, we're already shooting at Tua, and what you said put yourself in the crossfire. Now you're catching strays. And we'll talk about this more in depth when I show you guys the clips. But what's so crazy to me about this, and this is what I cannot get it. This is what's so nuts to me. Is now we're going as far as implying a 6-time Pro Bowler, multiple-time All-Pro, like Super Bowl champion, franchise wide receiver. Arguably, it's him or Devontae Adams are the best receivers in the NFL. All of a sudden, he's a liar. All of a sudden, and I get what you're saying, Joseph, prove it on the field. But see, what he's talking about ain't anything. Like, these people are out here acting like this man's saying, well, Tua's going to end up in Canton and Mahomes isn't. Like, they straight up asked who has a stronger arm. He said 1.5. He straight up said Mahomes has the stronger arm. But when he's talking about accuracy, he's talking about ball placement and accuracy. That's like Tua's calling card. I mean, listen, I've talked about him needing to be better at reading all three levels, and I've talked about him needing to be better at throwing at all three levels in terms of taking the shots, and his ball placement on the intermediate level was spotty at times last year. But also it's because he bulked up, and I truly think it affected his touch. Nonetheless, you still had multiple flashes a game where he was throwing them into windows, whether it was to Waddle in triangle or box coverage. Like, he was still making Listen, the whole term last year, and it got used multiple times during live reactions and stuff, was keyhole accuracy. Like, that was a whole term that's been talked about with Tua Tagovailoa, not just me, but by other talking heads in the football world, is keyhole accuracy. That's literally a term that is applied to this guy. All right? And we're out here, the media is out here acting like Tua came out and said, well, Tyreek came out and said Tua's elite and Mahomes is not. It is like, I'm telling you people, it is like exhausting. Like, now Tyreek is all of a sudden the bad guy and being crapped on all because he spoke candidly about his quarterbacks. And here's the other thing. I've listened to a little, people are out here acting like he's dragging Kansas City. You know how many times in that interview he said he loves Mahomes or Andy Reid? If anything, if they were kind of going at anyone, it was the GM. And, you know, I saw some on a Dolphin-centric site, right? Another one of these people who claims to be saying Tyreek Hill sounds like a bitter ex. Like, really? Why? Because he's telling everyone what happened and why he left? And then everyone, well, I don't know what he's complaining about his usage. You know, most targets and most touches. Well, maybe the point that we keep all pointing back to with Mahomes being the number one quarterback in the NFL at throwing at the line of scrimmage didn't sit well with him. Notice how when he talked about Tua, he talked about short and intermediate routes and deep stuff. He didn't say we're going to be throwing them at line of scrimmage 90% of the time. That could be, I'm not saying that is, I'm saying that could be a simple issue of easily putting 2 and 2 together of things he's talked about. Maybe he didn't like being thrown at the line of scrimmage all the time. Waddle had to work for his receptions last year because our staff didn't know how to use them. And you heard Tua basically say, hey, our offense was basically, it was Waddle, or if it wasn't Waddle, it broke down. Another reason why everyone was trying to decipher, why was Gesicki coming to the sidelines at one point late in the season after a big catch and saying to Flores, see what happens when you throw me the ball? Now that kind of made sense a little bit now, doesn't it? Everyone was like, why was Gesicki saying that to Flores and not the guy throwing the football? Why wasn't he saying that to Tua? Anyways, I digress. The Tyreek thing. It's to see this man be vilified for just speaking candidly about what's something that's Tua's calling card. It is unbelievable. And I'll be honest with you, Fox, the homie Fox is right. It ain't Tyreek that sound like the bitter ex. It's Chief fans that sound like the bitter ex. All bitter. Man, if he would have re-signed there, the real thing should be like saying this man was willing to take $25 million to stay in Kansas City, and they couldn't make it work. So I'm still in awe. I've just been sitting back and watching this the past 2 days, and it's been like, what am I watching right now? Like, and yeah, I saw that, Jason, where him and Rick Ross and the homie Tyreek Hill even took a shot at Stephen A. And we're going to get into it in a minute here because we got a lot to go over. I got about 12 minutes worth of segments I want to show you guys. Shout out to the homie Tilly, Foxing around, the homie Callie girl, Tyler. They helped me out. I said, like, you know what? Just help me get as many segments as I can here. Let's compile them. And I want to show people exactly what people are saying. So we'll get into that. I want to go over the McDaniel fish tank interview. We'll go over that. I got to talk about the Payton stuff, even though I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying the whole time. This is a non-story, but it was made Monday Morning Quarterback, so I'll show you how it made Monday Morning Quarterback. We'll talk about it, and I'll once again reiterate what I think was actually at play, which was Harbaugh and Brady, and why this Payton thing is a non-story. And then I got a really interesting chart and stat for you guys and gals who look at the offensive line like I do as something that's either going to be the downfall of Tua Tagovailoa and this offense, the run game and the receivers. Something that's going to give you guys, hey, if we get it right this year, because EPA is something we always talk about on this channel, and I got another interesting EPA chart for you guys that I want to talk about that really highlights Tua when he has protection. All right, so we'll talk about that. So let's start off. Let's get into. Let's start off with the media turning on Tyreek. I put together this compilation of segments. So, guys, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, because this video is about to get demonetized. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Okay, So even if your boy gets 16,000 views, I ain't seen $1 from that except for donations on this one. I'm about to get demonetized, all right? I know I am because of the clips I'm going to play. Fox always comes for that ass. So, and they FS1, et cetera, they run that. So I know I'm about to get demonetized. So this is like me stepping before I step through the door, telling all of y'all I love you and I'll see you on the other side. So this is what we're about to hit. But hey, if demonetized means I keep y'all informed and I get the point across, so freaking be it. All right. This is about the fans and informing fans. All right. This is why I started this whole channel. So let's kick it off. Let's get into this. All right. Basically, this is about 12 minutes. I'm going to play this all. I'll stop at certain points, but I'm going to play it all. And we're going to start off with Stephen A. Smith and his nonsense. All right. So let's get into this.
Tagovailoa, you just joined. Y'all ain't even in preseason yet, so which means the only thing you've done was catch passes from him running routes in spring practice. At the very least. Baby, let's go. I mean, that's all. That's all you've got to go on. And that you're trying to tell me is comparable to the numbers you put up with
he never
Patrick
said that.
Mahomes going to 4 straight AFC championship games.
When did he even talk about his numbers or make it? The only numbers he talked about was Matt Moore. Okay. That's the only numbers he talked about. So where was he comparable? Tell me where he was comparable. Listen, a receiver knows who's accurate and who's not. A receiver knows levels of accuracy. These guys have been doing this for how long, Steven? Stop. We go back. Who are we going to go back to? Let's go back to what's his face? Terrell Owens. It was Terrell Owens, right? I'm pretty sure Tilly's in the chat. Terrell Owens, the one that went to Alabama, back when Hurts was there and Tua was there. The guy threw what, 20, 30, 40 routes with him? Right? Well, it was pretty sure. It was Terrell Owens, right? I'm pretty sure it's Terrell Owens. Anyways, Terrell Owens, 20, 30, 40 snaps he runs with this guy, and he started comparing him to Steve Young, Stephen A. Smith. Terrell Owens is one of the greatest receivers of all time. You do not need 1,000 reps with a quarterback to understand if they're accurate or not. What world are we living in? T.O. already let you know what's good. T.O. compared him to Steve Young. Arguably the greatest left-handed quarterback of all time. Arguably, okay? I'm not going to get into an argument with all of you, like, guys who like Vic or what's his face? The dude from this, oh, man, it's slipping my mind. Was it Fouts that was left-handed? Fouts was left-handed too, I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, like, are we seriously acting like this? Come on, man.
Going to back-to-back Super Bowls, winning a Super Bowl championship, recognizing the fact that Patrick Mahomes is the baddest brother on the planet right now as a quarterback, okay? And you gonna try to tell me a dude that you've never even played a preseason game with is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes?
Stabler, yeah, that's it.
You are
Stabler,
really serious
Stabler.
about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this on national television. Stay off the weed. And I don't know, I ain't trying to accuse Tyreek Hill or anything like that. I'm being facetious by saying that. I don't want anybody to think that I'm implying that he uses something. But that comment is so asinine, so utterly ridiculous, so beyond the pale that the brother really should be tested immediately if he's serious about that.
I'm confused, Skip. I'm baffled. Drew said,
And now we're going to get into, okay, and I want to set this one up. Yeah, it was, I'm pretty sure it was Stabler, right? Stabler was the lefty, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. I was getting mixed up. Yeah, it was Stabler. It's Kenny Stabler. Anyways, okay. So now let's get into. Now we're gonna set up Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp, the man who, let's call it spade a spade. This man was, man, if me and EM were leading the Tua bandwagon on YouTube, this guy was leading the Tua bandwagon in the national media, him and Eisen. And we'll get to Rich Eisen in a bit too. But Shannon Sharp out here now, and listen to his voice and his tone. This man sounds like he just lost his firstborn. Someone just killed a puppy, all right? If you listen to Shannon Sharp, it sounds like someone just killed a puppy over Tyreek Hill. It's ridiculous. So let's get into Shannon Sharp now.
As he felt the guy was underused, Skip, how many jailbreak screens and how many handoffs and how many different option routes.
Jailbreak screens and handoffs. That's what you're using as proof of, oh, they utilized you properly. A 4-2-7 guy who can beat you, who can stem and stack someone in the blink of an eye, who can beat you in the blink of the eye on the short intermediate level. We're really using jailbreak screens and handoffs as legitimate examples of why you should be happy of how you were utilized. Seriously, right now? That's where we're going? You just made his point. Shannon Sharp literally just made his point. Literally just made his point. Took you 2 seconds, Shannon. Congratulations. Anyways, let's continue on with your tone like a puppy just died in front of you. Okay, let's go over Tyreek.
The ways they get Tyreek the ball. He had his most targets, his most catches of his career.
At the line of scrimmage.
And he's done a great job of finding a way. And to give Tyreek credit, he's turned himself because when he first got into the league, he was mainly a returner and a gadget guy. But he's taught himself how to run routes. He can run the route tree. He's dynamic. He's electric.
He can run the route tree, but you're saying he needs to be happy because they're giving him jailbreak screens and handoffs. Okay.
But this notion that one game I have almost 200 yards and the next game I have 40 is called game planning. You remember Tyreek against Tampa? The first quarter you had 203. You ended the game with 260. What transpired? They said, we're not going to single you one-on-one. We're going to devise a game plan. And if you look at the next time you played them, you barely had 60 yards because they said, we're not going to let you run free.
He also, his best route runner and the best option next to him was who? It was Sammy Watkins. It wasn't one of these blazers like McCall Hardman and Demarcus Robinson. They're not good route runners, and they don't have really reliable hands. They're just fast guys. This is what I've gone back to. He has the best number 2 option he's ever had in his career right now, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, I want to say it already. We are on June 14th. Snap hasn't even happened. But if Tyreek suits up and he's fully healthy, Jalen Waddle is the best number 2 in football, hands down. That man is a top 10 number 1 on the verge of it. What do you think that makes him as a number 2? Again, context matters, Shannon.
For the whole quarter, they said, Carlton Davis, good luck, you got it.
Good luck, you got it. And he punished Carlton Davis for over 200 yards. Look, Skip, you got your money. This notion that nobody thinks that Tua is as accurate. Okay, he might be, Skip. When you throw 5, 10-yard routes, Patrick Mahomes pushing the ball down the field. Look at Jalen Waddle.
Right there. Right there. He's not even telling you what's the act. He's not even telling you an actual fact right there. He's literally not even telling you Mahomes pushing it down the field. Yes, Mahomes pushing it down the field. But again, number 1 quarterback in the NFL in 2021 at throws and throwing attempts at the line of scrimmage. Yes, no one denies dude, Mahomes is the best natural thrower of the football to come out since Aaron Rodgers. No one is denying that. And anyone who denies that is a fool. Is a fool. But again, context here, people. Yes, he can push it downfield, but last year, all of a sudden, they became a very short offense. Mahomes suffered for it. So, again, context matters here, all right?
Jalen Waddle had over 100 catches, barely had 1,000 yards, because most of them jailbreak screens. Most of them.
This guy loves jailbreak screens, 1. 2, again, did you watch the games, Shannon? Yes, hitches, curls, drags, all of that stuff. But do you know why? Because he was the only option. They had to get him open. Quick stuff, getting him open. That was the only way they could get him open. We did not have a line to continuously contest defenses over the top. Again, context matters in the situation. And what was one of the things I was hammering our offensive staff for last season? What was the one thing I was hammering our offensive coaching staff last season? Even when Tua was out and Brissett was in, it was the same shit. They didn't know how to utilize. You want to talk about people not knowing how to utilize? Our staff did not know how to utilize Jalen Waddle, especially in the first 9 weeks of the season last year. Like it was a joke to watch. It was a joke. So let's start. Again, context needed for Waddle. The fact that Waddle had over 1,000 yards, and again, here's one more context for you. Waddle was averaging, I think it was around 43 yards per game when Brissett was in. When Tua came back, he was averaging over 70 yards a game. How's that for some context? How is that for some context? He's averaging under 50 yards a game with Brissett. Tua comes back, he's averaging over 70 yards a game. Wasn't Tua's fault. In fact, if it wasn't for Tua and it was Brissett, he wouldn't even have reached 1,000 yards last year. If we really want to add context to the situation, thank you very much. And that is literally a fact. That is literally a fact. Just like we were like the 26th ranked third down offense or 28th ranked third down offense when Brissett was in. When Tua came back, he turned us into, by like week 13 or 14, we were number 10 in the NFL on third down as an offense. Our yards per game went up with Tua. Everything went up. But no one talks about that stuff.
Hitches and smoke routes. Yep. So, yes, you're going to have great accuracy. But when you start having to push the ball down the field, because they have two of the fastest receivers in the NFL in Waddle and Tyreek. Had a nice, I like Gesicki. But, Skip, you got to push the ball down the field. I don't know why. Tyreek, you got your money, bro. I don't know why you feel the need to take shots at Andy, why you need to take shots at Patrick Mahomes. And maybe deep down he
Dude, how did he take shots at Mahomes? He said Mahomes has a stronger arm. He just said he thought Tua was more accurate. What did he take? You know how many times he said he loved Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in that interview? The only one he was coming for was the GM. That's it.
Feels that, but you're going to find out that if you think that Tua is as accurate as Patrick Mahomes, you're about to find out what it was like to go from a historically great player to a very average quarterback. Mm-hmm. You're going to find out, Tyreek, and you're going to find out the hard way. But you got your money. Just be happy. They didn't skip. They didn't have to trade you, Tyreek. They had your services for another year or two. They said, you know what, Tyreek? You've been great for us. We can't give you what another team can. You have our blessing to find a trade that's amenable to us, and we'll get you to where you want to go. And it came down to Jets or Miami, which had the most money. And that's where he went. Because if the money was similar, New York state taxes versus Florida no state income taxes, it was a no-brainer. Warm weather, things of that nature, Skip. So I get it. But I just don't understand why Tyreek keeps talking when he's made the Pro Bowl every year basically since Mahomes been there as a wide receiver, not as a returner. Yep. And he's just taking shot after shot after shot. Like I said, we never heard any of this behind the scenes that Tyreek Hill is upset. Tyreek Hill is upset with this role.
Shannon, did you even listen to the interview? He literally said he never went to the media with it. Like, is this for real? Like, are you listening to this right now? We never heard any of this. Immediately, he literally said in the podcast that he didn't tell any of y'all. Like, did anyone actually take the hour to watch the podcast that is talking right now? Really?
In the offense, he feels that he's been underutilized. Now he's out. He's gotten his money. Now even if that was the case, even if you were, why now? Bro, you the second, third highest paid receiver in football, bro. That's not enough.
Tyreek Hill needs to chill. The new Dolphins receiver said on his podcast that Tua Tagovailoa is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on. What is this, amateur hour? First of all, Tyreek, you took the money. You wanted to be the highest paid receiver at the time in the NFL.
See the angle? They're all trying to make him look greedy when he literally said on the podcast, I was willing to take less than I got paid. See the whole angle? All because he stuck up for Tua. We're going to make him look like a guy who grabbed the money and run. Like, I hope Tyreek has just balls out insanely this year. Doesn't matter who's under center.
You asked Andy Reid and Brett Veach if they would make it happen. They said no. You said trade me. They did. You got paid. But let's not go into planet delusional here. Patrick Mahomes, if he never played another game, he's in the Hall of Fame. Patrick Mahomes is off to one of the greatest starts in his career in the history of the National Football.
Yeah, but where did he compare win-loss record? Passing yards, yards per attempt, pass touchdowns, interception, QB rating. Where did he even say that Tua was a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes? Like, someone show me where he even said that. It's unreal.
I mean, this is unreal. He's a next-level all-time talent. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played on Championship Sunday
and they keep talking about him taking the money like this isn't the business.
The numbers here speak for themselves, and I'm a huge Tua believer.
Yeah, the number, one's played 63 games right here, and the other one's played 21. The numbers speak for themselves. And again, no one in their right mind is going to say Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I'll slap them if they say that.
I'm a Tua fan, but you can't put these guys in the same sentence or the same category. Don't even try to spin it. Look, I like the Dolphins this year. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think Hill's a big part of that. Love the hiring of Mike McDaniel. Love the new running backs. Love the new offensive line. Love everything about what they've done. But please, Tyreek, stop saying that Tua is better than Patrick Mahomes.
Where did he say that? You see? Do you see what I'm talking about right now? When did he say he's better than Patrick Mahomes? Buddy, I'll slap Tua if he says that I'll slap Tyreek if Tyreek says Tua's better than... I'll slap anyone in this world if they say Tua's better than Patrick Mahomes. No one's saying that. No one in their right, sane, sober mind would say that. All he said was he thinks he's more accurate. That's it. Didn't say he has a better arm. Didn't say he has a stronger arm. Didn't say he makes better off-platform throws. Didn't say he throws the ball further. Didn't say he's got more torque or velocity on the ball. He didn't say any of those things. And yet now it's, well, he said you can't say Tua is better than Patrick Mahomes. When did he say that?
Anything, okay? I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes throwing with his left hand than Tua throwing with his left hand, and Tua's a lefty. So let's just calm down.
Take your Ritalin. I think you need to calm down. You take your Xanax, take your Ritalin, and you need to go sit in the corner, bro.
Dopey comparisons with Tua and Patrick
talking about dope when he
because
clearly
it puts
seems like he's
pressure
on it.
on Tua. He already has to live up to you and the trade
I'm
and what they
that you
did
have
in
a
the
Raptors
offseason. I mean, there's a realistic chance it fails with
banner
Tua. I'm on
behind you,
board.
too.
I'm a big
Take
Tua
that
fan.
down.
I think Tua is going to be a rock-solid quarterback and lead Miami to the playoffs. Why? Why would you put more pressure on this kid?
This guy talks all that smack, and then he says Tua's going to be rock solid and lead him to the playoffs. Make this make sense, man. Backhanded compliments, but then you compliment the guy.
Opinion, rightly so, in the comparison, Justin Herbert from the draft. Why? Tyreek, stop
Somebody
talking.
should take that New England
Stop
helmet
comparing.
behind there and just
Never
give
do
a good
that again.
Do you believe that
old
he
whack.
would rather have
Good old
Tua,
Myles
who is
Garrett,
very
right with that
accurate,
helmet.
but
Yeah.
the passes are not going to be nearly as deep? Or do you think he really wants Patrick Mahomes?
Maybe he
Prefers.
does.
The passes aren't going to be nearly as deep. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Tua that 55? What was it, 52 or 55? It was either 52 yards or 55-yard air. It was either 52 or 55 air yard throw. He hit one of those deep throws. It's either the Waddle or Hollins he had last season. That was like the longest throw in the league for like a couple weeks, air yard wise. So what are we talking about? Not deep again. Again, these people.
Tyreek Hill's a guy who does like to take that short pass to the house. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there's a kernel of truth there. Maybe he doesn't like Mahomes being the big star, scrambling around and throwing it downfield. That could definitely be the case.
I think where you're going to see Hill and his biggest impact is going to be in Miami. I think listen, I said I thought they're going to be a playoff team this year, even in a stacked AFC. I'm maybe regretting that a little bit, but I said it, so I'm going to stick by it.
Are you nervous about Tua not being able to get the job done, though?
Here's the thing about Tua. I believe that part of his struggles had to do with his hip injury, right?
Yeah,
so if
but
he's
I don't
healthy, couldn't he be able to launch a little bit more, and we're going to see a little bit more of a downfield threat than we have?
I don't know if he'll ever come back. They're showing him now on CBS Sports Network, and he's still torquing his whole body to get it out there. Yeah, I kind of like Tua, too. I think it could be interesting. I just don't know. I don't see them as anywhere near as dynamic an offense. I mean, we saw them last year.
What?
They felt like they were a very conservative offense. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll be a completely different animal.
Is this guy for real? Maybe it'll be a completely different animal. Well, I don't know. Maybe the fact that they got a whole new offensive staff and an offensive-minded head coach and Tyreek Hill and a whole new running back room, maybe it will be a different animal. I don't even know what this guy's name is, so let's just call him Jake from State Farm for Christ's sake. Maybe it will be a more dynamic offense. Jake, wow, did you also know that 2 + 2 is 4? Go figure, huh? Who would have thought that 2 + 2 is 4? My God. Who puts a mic in front of some of these people and says, "All right, I'm betting on you, kid." Oh.
This year, I can't see that offense being dangerous. I can't see Tyreek Hill putting them over the top.
Jalen Waddle with Tyreek Hill, with Gesicki.
Yeah,
if Tua can be better with Mike McDaniels, everyone thinks that he's got an a astute offensive mind.
I'm basically going on.
She gets it. She gets it. Yo, you need to kick this dude off. I don't even know what this Jake from State Farm. I don't even know what his name is. We're calling him Jake from State Farm. She gets it. So give her the respect she deserves. She needs a new co-host for sure. This girl just embarrassed you, my friend.
History of the NFL, where anytime a receiver leaves a Hall of Fame quarterback to go to a non-Hall of Fame quarterback, his numbers fall apart. It happens so many times.
Oh, that's what the name is, Maggie and Perloff. So Maggie, thumbs up to Maggie. Perloff, you need to get off.
Anyone who leaves New England, anyone who leaves Pittsburgh, anyone who left the Giants and Eli
There you
Manning,
go.
it's very hard to replicate success of wide receiver. There's a few. Randy Moss was great as a Patriots. Hopkins had success with the Cardinals.
Bro.
Yeah.
Maggie knows Perloff looks like this guy does, this guy looks like he's going to do my taxes, bro. Or maybe he's going to come and he's going to install the latest software I need on my PC. That's what Perloff looks like. At least Maggie knows her ish. Shout out to Maggie.
Maybe he went to a better quarterback, as a matter of fact. But I just think it's really hard. No, Tyreek's production is going to go down by 20% easily.
Did that concern you at all, reading about that?
Of course he is. And then the guy comes in with the percentiles over here, Perloff. See, I told you. What is he? This guy needs to be installing software or working on algorithms for computers, not out here talking sports. This guy, 20%. Are you serious? Do you know what 20% is? Let's look at. So this man is expecting, I believe he had 1,600 yards last year, right? So okay, 20%. So let's just go off of production. So last year he had 1,239 reception yards. All right, let's just go off yard. Let's just take that 20% off right off the top. All right. So let's round up. All right. So that's about 124. It's about what? 240 yards. So he's expecting Tyreek Hill to finish under 1,000 yards receiving based off of what he's saying. Basically, he's expecting this man to finish under 1,000 yards this year. How much you want to take a bet on that, Perloff? All right, Rich Eisen again, another one who he's now found this new adoration for Salty Tua, but you can tell he's setting up to be all out on Tua.
That he's going from 1 week to the next, and he's texting his agent like, "What's going on here? And I want my money." And what are they? Are they going to start to ice me out here? I mean,
it's weird.
I don't know. He's now been paid down in Miami. What?
It's like no one remembers him telling the story about like his grandfather's surgery and or anything.
What if Tua
Short-term
isn't the guy?
amnesia.
Well, then Tyreek just needs to stay loose because Tom
Brady's
Brady's
coming
coming in
the next year.
2023,
Got
and
it.
it'll all be good.
Okay.
But remember, Tyreek's also the guy who can take a 5-yard slant and take it 75 to the crib, and
they've got Waddle, and it should be all set up to succeed. It should be all set up to succeed.
Gesicki and
Gesicki, yes.
And I know this is not fair, but I'll say it anyway. And I know it upsets the Tuanon crowd and the Miami crowd.
Be careful.
And you know I love Salty Tua, and I'm very. I'm not. I like Tua
That's
a
what I'm saying.
lot,
You're a
and
fan
I'm
of Tua.
rooting for him. Right?
You're a member of Tuanon.
I don't know if I'm a member of Tuanon.
You were early on the Tua train, though, for sure.
Absolutely, I'm on the Tua train.
Well, we met him at Super Bowl. Great kid, obviously.
By the way, maybe the greatest autograph I've ever seen.
You love Tua's signature.
His signature's
I
amazing.
haven't seen it.
I don't know about you, but that looked like money.
That guy, Salty Tua, connects.
Good job, Jay.
And they start scoring 24, 30 points a game, right? Like they've got an offense that's going to be quick and fast and and a coach who can scheme it, right?
They got a cool ass coach. Like they're a fun team.
And a running game that can complement it. Right? But if I just, and I know this is totally a generalization, but I'm going to say it anyway because I thought
June,
it.
it's totally
because
fine.
because I thought it, and I'm going to say it. When I read Tyreek Hill's comments about his texting to his agent.
So you didn't watch. You read.
And I text my agent. I'm complaining to him all the time, too. And Jerry knows that. And you guys know that as well. You watch me
you're
pace around here.
pacing in the
Exactly.
morning.
I'm constantly complaining.
We're always like, is something wrong?
But I'm Jewish, and Tyreek is not. So,
we know it.
so no, but if that's the way he feels about Mahomes and the offense that made him who he was, or helped make him, give him the opportunity to make himself into who he is. How does that sound? That's less denigrating, or it sounds less denigrating, because I'm not intending to denigrate. That said, if he feels that way about Mahomes and Reed, how is he going to feel about this new situation when it doesn't invariably go very well?
Like
when Belichick
Look at
might
this.
pull his Jedi mind trees,
Now we're going on the assumption that now it's just not going to work out. Now it's just a lost cause and everything's. And how's Tyreek going to act? We've gone from, well, he's taking shots at these guys. So, he got his money. He's all about his money. To now, well, how's he going to act when it inevitably doesn't work out in Miami? Like,
his dark side mind
People out here
tricks
putting
on,
the ass in
on
assumption.
Tua.
Yeah.
And he's been paid now. Now he's been paid. So he
why is that, Rich? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because the quarterback is still on a rookie contract. Waddle's on a rookie contract. Holland's on a rookie contract. Phillips is on a rookie contract. Terran Armstead's on a very affordable contract. He's the only big time contract on offense other than Armstead.
I think he will feel more entitled. And again, I know that's a word that sounds infusing and could be denigrating as well. But
you got to remember this
we've
team
seen it.
did win 8 of their last 9.
Now, because he's been paid, Tyreek is entitled.
2 though, Rich.
That's the
Miami
narrative.
did?
Yeah, so
Unreal.
you finished strong, right? You carried that over into the next season.
I know,
Why
and
stop watching
that's
these clowns?
and they fired their coach that launched 1,000 lawsuits and changed potentially the trajectory of Tom Brady's retirement plan.
And Sean Payton's coaching future.
Oh my goodness gracious, did it ever? What a team! Nobody really talks about Dolphins all that much, but here we come.
I wish they were doing Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I hear you. Lions will be pretty damn good though too.
I think they'll be entertaining because Cam.
Like, on behalf of all Dolphin fans, I'm sorry, Tyreek, that you got to put up with this freaking nonsense right now. Okay? All of this because you think one quarterback is more accurate than the other. Why doesn't anyone talk about how Mahomes talked about post-game when they played each other in his rookie season about how in certain aspects he basically told the media Tua was ahead of him in certain aspects already. And he literally talked about the accuracy and the ball placement. Mahomes himself has said real high things about Tua as a rookie. Like, really? But we all forget about that, huh? It's unreal the amount of hate that Tyreek has got just because he said what's on his mind. Because we're past the point of building to his confidence. I've said this before. We're past the point of building confidence. We're past the point of trying to get targets. When are they going to start noticing that Tyreek's just being transparent? That's all. So I don't get it, man. I don't get it, man. The media now turning on Tyreek, man. Just another reason for him to ball this year. Just another reason for him to have a big year with Tua. It's on site, baby. It's on site when this team hits the field this year. Believe it. All right, let's get into Mike McDaniel was on the fish tank today. So let's go through the interview. I actually didn't have a ton of time on my hands to chop it up like I normally do, but we'll hop into this.
There you go. I think one thing that was something I couldn't foresee, something that was kind of surprising.
So let's start this.
Anything surprise you at all? And
I can't wait to get started.
let's get started then.
Drown me in this fish tank. Let's go.
So, Coach, you've been here 123 and a half days. But who's counting, right? Who's counting, right?
That's 3 quarters. 3 quarters.
So what, if anything, have you learned in this time period? Anything surprise you at all? And, has there been a moment like, damn, I'm the head coach of, the Miami Dolphins, which is, you self-proclaim that it's a dream job. Tell us a little bit about the first 123 and a half, 3 quarters.
There you go. I think one thing that was something I couldn't foresee, something that was kind of surprising, was something I couldn't foresee, something that was kind of surprising, was the realization when you have your footing within the building and you're getting to utilize all these different relationships, and is that you work your whole career to get the opportunity to have this job, but then and you're going through the coaching ranks and you have that pinnacle, which is to be a head coach, and when you get to your dream job, the one that you've been preparing for your whole career, at that moment is when you're the most dependent upon other people to do your job. It brings you back to what is your job as the head coach, and that's to, really, the way I see it is to serve everyone that's working for you. so that because you are quite literally vulnerable to what they're able to do, because there's just it's too big of a undertaking to do anything close to it being one person.
Right.
You know, it's like the ultimate team on top of a team sport, where you're so in that process.
Sounds like The
it
Miz.
was early
That's
and
awesome.
often I realized that I better trust every person that I'm working with, and it's my job to pick the right people, to touch the players, for instance, as a coaching staff, and then on top of that, it's my job to really empower them. And you know, people get it kind of twisted. As a head coach, you really have to make sure all the people that are working with you for that ultimate goal, you have the power to give them the tools they need to do their job.
So in that period of time that we very clearly have established, how many days it's been, there hasn't been a lot of time because you've run an entire off-season program here, off-season conditioning. We've had the OTAs, we've had the mini camps. How have you felt about what your team has accomplished during this time? And then as you see your guys, kind of like as a parent, you see your kids packing their proverbial bags and they're heading out for this 6-week break. What is your approach to what that should look like, and what message are you sending them off with?
Well, it's been very gratifying, satisfying.
See, that's a good question, because this is really going to be, this is where, you know, stars make themselves, right? It's now entering that lead up between OTAs and training camp. That's where you really separate yourself.
Because you make, you know, it's fast and furious. You get a call on February 6th at 2:46 p.m. West Coast, and said, "Hey, you have a job." Next day,
Great call.
I think it was a great decision, by the way.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's right.
Then the next day, you're flying out. When I got here to the Miami Dolphins, one thing that was very apparent to me when I walked through the building, this being my 7th different franchise, it was obvious to me from the jump that the people in the building were very eager, were very qualified. It was a well-oiled machine with the support staff, and it was like, wow, these people are yearning for everything to be in concert and go one direction. So you make that assessment, and then for you to have a off-season program, and then on top of that, you're assessing the players in the same regard.
Right.
And you're seeing, all I saw was a team that had a very hungry young roster that for the last 2 seasons started the first quarter of the season behind the 8 ball, and then found a way to have a winning record. So between the building and all the people working within it, and then the players and the young, hungry individuals that I saw, and then on top of that, a fan base. It was like, wow, this is what an opportunity. If we can just go in one direction, I think we could really make a lot of leaps and bounds in terms of how we operate on a day-to-day basis and get everyone moving in one concerted effort. So for now, looking at after the entirety of the offseason, that's the satisfying part, because you're projecting this idea. You think you're right. You don't totally know until it happens.
Sure.
And
Topher, you got
what I do
that
know
Miami
is that,
tan, that South Floridian tan.
We, you know, from all those stops in my path, that you know all in when you see it. And from the meal room all the way down the building to players, coaches, everyone. They have not wavered. It's always tricky when you're importing a new philosophy and a new just way of going about business.
He looks like Mark Anthony.
Are people going to resist? And there's been none of that. I'm very excited about the work we've put in to position ourselves to continue to work to ultimately gain results. So
let's go.
It is what it is. We are several months from playing
I love
a
the
game.
buy-in, man.
I think
Everyone buying in.
We're 45
from top
days
to
away
bottom.
from reporting back to training camp. But for what we could have accomplished from February 7th, when I got my feet on the ground, to now, very pleased with where we're at.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
definitely good to hear. But again, all that hard work and everything to get to this point, and then it's like, bye guys, I'll see you in a month and a half.
Right.
So, like, what do you say to them when because they're grown men? You've said that you want to treat them like grown men, but
Did you bug me? Because I was just talking about that today.
I prefer not to answer that with the camera.
All right. No, football is a collection of individuals working towards a common goal, in that you can't do anything by yourself. And so there's a lot of trust that has to be undergone, and you really have to trust your teammates, so to speak. And so what I talked to the team about, specifically today, as a matter of fact, is to understand that it's not only, when you're going on your days away, it's important to relax, it's important to spend time with your family, but also it's important to position yourself so that at the start of training camp, it's vital that your teammates can count on you
Agreed.
to be in training camp shape, not get to training camp and get in shape.
Right.
Because what happens there is
that's what Solomon Kinley's problem's been.
Tissue injuries, people have setbacks, and the team can't afford that. We're a young team, but football, the opportunity is always now, and you have to jump at that. And anything done that doesn't prepare you for when training camp starts, it affects other people. And this is you're not just affecting yourself. Understand that your teammates are depending upon you to do what's right when no one's watching. And that was a major point that was made today, along as well as commending them for the job well done to this point. Understand that doesn't mean wins or losses. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because you haven't gone to that stage yet. What you can control is the off-season phase 1 through 3, and I feel very confident that we've put our best foot forward so that we can we've positioned ourselves to compete in training camp, where the organization and the fan base wants us to compete at.
Coach, when you talked about the 7 different stops, and let's talk about when you arrived in Miami. You came here, and a lot of people viewed you kind of as a run game expert. But when we and Seth are looking back, you've had your foot or fingerprint on or coached like every single position on the offensive side of the ball. And with that expertise, does that prepare you to be able to coach both sides of the ball, pretty much every single position, because of what you know about offensive play per position, and that can tell you how defensive players should be playing as well?
Well, first and foremost, that is great investigative journalism right there. I mean, that is.
You got called journalists right there.
Hey, I'm on that side now.
But you're exactly right. So one of the things that really I feel is helping me do my job with the Miami Dolphins is that I've been afforded the opportunity to immerse myself in different positions, not only just interacting with guys, but more so being involved in position groups. I started in the pass game as a receiver guy, and so when you're in that room and then you transfer to offensive line and then you're in quarterbacks, and being in the room with the guys, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Getting an expertise in side, getting an expertise on the defensive players. So as a head coach, it's very valuable to be able to speak from everybody's walk of life, to relate to them, to know the issues that they have. You don't go into it thinking that, it's not like I started my career and said I needed to do that to be a head coach. I didn't really, the opportunities that were in each walk of life, that I just jumped on those. But an unintended consequence, and something that I'm glad that I'm extremely grateful that I was afforded those opportunities, is that you can better relate to players and put yourself in their shoes, which is what they need.
Interesting. Yeah. So this week, one of my favorite things is watching the coach's press conference. You gave what I felt was a very interesting answer to a question about your coaching style. Someone asked you about your coaching style and where it came from, and I thought you gave some really neat perspective and talked about how you really didn't pattern yourself after anyone, and I thought it was very insightful as to why. But I do wonder, like, you're coaching and you're studying the game, but are you also studying kind of the art of leadership? And was there anything on your path, whether it was within football or outside of football, that you
I think this is where he says one of my favorite quotes
not
here.
copy or pattern, but to just kind of build and start to compile the leader that you would become?
I was a history major, and I'm into documentaries. Would I say there's a particular exact example? I'd be hard pressed to say, but I do know one thing. I've always thought there's a competitive advantage by taking things from your experiences, that people can often miss what's right in front of them. So in a deliberate nature, just observing how people respond to different types of encouragement, criticism, development. The bottom line is that we're in a business that what can get lost in the whole process is that the best way I can lead is that I fully invest in people and try to get the best out of them. And that authentic intention, so to speak, I think goes a lot further than people give it its due. So I'm sorry if I don't totally answer the question, because honestly, nothing jumps off.
Yeah.
I just know I've been influenced a lot by a lot of different avenues. The second that I got a Netflix account, I was just killing the documentary game.
We'll have to get some recommendations on the documentary.
To me, there's information that you can exhaust that's right in front of you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly, player, coach, football.
But you can find that practical application from something that you saw.
Absolutely.
That may have nothing to do with football.
Absolutely. And I think that gives you, there's a lot more relatedness to
makes it way more relatable.
Coaching football players and being a part of an organization and motivating people. There's countless, there's information surrounding each and every moment of your life if you just pay attention.
You talk about,
love that. There's information surrounding every moment of your life if you just pay attention.
You talk about leadership, I was thinking about, I wonder about the process.
Here we go.
When you're talking about
This is where
some of the things, Seth, that he might have drawn from, but also the responsibility as a leader.
Yeah,
players,
this is where it's good.
coaches. You've been there. You've been in a lot of the coaches' shoes in particular, for 15 plus years as assistant coach. And, given the time you spent, as an assistant coach in your career in their shoes, what do you think those individuals that you're coaching now, that you're the head man of, what do you think some of the things that they need or expect from you as the head man now?
One of the pillars of my coaching philosophy in general is not to lose sight of the fact that everyone involved, you just walk into the Miami Dolphins headquarters, or this is their dream. Regardless of where you're at in the building, regardless, or if you're a player, you're dealing with people's dreams. And so never to take that lightly.
That's a big quote right there. Whether it's a player or another coach, you're dealing with other people's dreams. Never take that lightly. That is one of my favorite things he says in this whole episode. I mean, that is heavy right there, and that is the realization of he knows what the task is and what's at hand and what needs to be done. That right there tells me how serious he's taking this. We already know. I've already talked about how he's OCD, and that's a great thing for us. But when you hear him say that, that is a man who realizes and recognizes what's expected and what's at hand. Like that I really when he said that, it really popped out to me.
To understand that you can impact their dreams, and so in its simplest form, that's how I view my job, is to never stray from that idea that, hey, you have the power to participate in, be a part of, and your job is to really do everything you can to really maximize what people are able to get out of their dreams. That is an incredible responsibility, which makes it pretty easy to do whatever it takes to get things done. People are depending upon you to do whatever you can to best maximize what they can do with their dreams. That is it is a big responsibility, but extremely fulfilling.
There's one other answer I'm going to wait for here too.
Very self-motivating in that light, and it's, I feel extremely fortunate that I've been given that opportunity, and do not take it lightly for 1 second.
I love it. That is great.
I know.
Caretaker of dreams.
That was fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, so, and how
the
so
caretaker
far,
of dreams.
Coaches been responding, especially my boys Sam and Pat and Wes. How have those cats been responding to the opportunity you've given them?
Well,
exactly, CBA.
Another part of
he understands the importance of building
job,
meaningful
as I see it,
relationships.
is not to.
Players don't
for
learn
you
from
to do
coaches
the
they don't like.
job
Children
and
don't learn from
connect
teachers
with
they don't like.
people
Agreed.
As best possible is not lose sight of when you were in their position. Because the second, so then when you don't lose sight of that, you can better relate to their journey, their issues, what is giving them, what gives them concern on a day-to-day basis, what motivates them, what empowers them. And for me, I didn't take lightly at all how when a boss of mine would say, hey, here's the objective, you're responsible for it, I'm not going to micromanage it. If you have autonomy to a degree, or if you have your own responsibility and you have the right people, those people you'll get the most out of, because they'll feel like they're owning something, while also, they might find different ways to do stuff that is far better than you can even have thought of because they feel ownership. They're a part of, and I make sure that the staff never loses sight of the fact that it is all of us together. And with our coaching staff here, they've really, it's been very awesome for me to watch them work. And I actually told the offensive staff today when we were watching film, I said you guys have done an outstanding job attacking the whole process. At the end of the day, they have a ton of ownership. It's like we have a ton of minority owners within the coaching staff and within the building, and that, to me, over time, you'll reap the most benefits.
Coach, you're talking about spending time in the offensive staff and meeting. A guy above you spent like his whole time in the offensive room. Do you find yourself bouncing around now, though, since you know so much about so many positions, do you bounce around a little bit from meeting to meeting, or do you find yourself more in the quarterback room?
For me, I think it's important to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And so to have a relationship so that you can say X, Y, or Z to any given player at any time, and for them to respond to you, you have to have investment.
Man, this is a player's coach and a coach's coach.
And so whether it's just coaching staff meetings, I make sure I'm involved in those. Player meetings, I'll randomly kick the door in just to keep them on their toes.
Any cool music that you have played when you do that?
It's happened multiple times. I haven't had a. Generally, I don't really have like a boom box or anything of that nature. I'll just do a shock and awe, literally kick the door in, and just keep them on their toes, and then say one or two lines that I have prepared that I think are funny. I'm not sure if they'll hit, but regardless, I just say it and exit so that
it doesn't matter. In your mind, they hit.
Oh yeah, every time.
It never misses. I love it. So it kind of leads me to my next question here. Something that I consistently hear, whether it's people who are working with you now or people who you have worked with in the past, say about you, is that you are just very comfortable being yourself. And what I wonder is, your entire professional career has been in a world that hasn't taken too kindly to outside of the box, right? This is football. Oftentimes, or at least the perception,
I believe this
that
is
there's these very strict boundaries, and there's a way that you act as a football player, or a way that you act as a football coach. And
he's about to talk about something that me and EM have talked about privately and publicly to all of y'all that I want to cover.
These 123 and three quarters days. Thank you. Have you ever felt the need or even pressure to conform?
Yes, pocket aces. I think Chase Edmonds is the starter right now.
I was a 22-year-old in Denver, and then as a 23-year-old in Houston was my first full-time job. There was Andre Johnson in his prime, and I was a kid that played Ivy League football. So understanding that I had to have value for them to listen to me was one piece, but the bigger piece that was interjected is that if early, and it was something that just hit my brain, was that if players can smell a fraud from a mile away, and the second that you give them anything that isn't true, honest, and whether it's actual information,
so can the Dolphins community,
or just you being yourself.
Thank you, pocket aces.
There's people are paying more attention than you realize.
Yeah.
It's not something that I think about. I guess I've never really felt pressure because it didn't really make sense to me. If you just focus solely on how can I make them better and fixate on that, it doesn't matter how it comes across, because they want the same thing. Everyone just wants to do well, and it's really that simple. So however that manifests itself, I wouldn't know how else to be other than myself, because I don't think about that portion.
Because we talked earlier about, the guys breaking for the summer. How excited are you about training camp starting though? I mean, your first training camp as the head man, seeing all the people, in the stands, is this beautiful facility we have, hearing the pads and seeing the pads and guys actually getting at it. And then what follows that is the season. How stoked are you about that part of it, man?
I wish it was happening tomorrow, because one of my favorite aspects that's kind of lines up with maybe a life philosophy, so to speak, is that and one of my favorite aspects of this job is I feel like this job is all about handling adversity.
Yup.
And real adversity comes with.
Here comes the smart talk.
When you have the approaching season, when you have, injuries, you have, you lose leads, you lose a game or two. That's where I see the nuts and bolts of being a head coach. That's where it lies. And philosophically, I've always looked at life kind of that way, where it's not necessarily if but when, and it's a game of who can handle adversity the best, as opposed to who can avoid adversity entirely. So that aspect of the head coaching position and this particular team and the way that they've approached the off season, we've had adversity in the off season as well, but you attack it and people get through it and become better from it. It gives you a taste of what's coming up, which is just heightened when it becomes live bullets.
Live bullets.
Look, football is a zero-sum.
And that's what we've talked about. I'm gonna wrap it there. That's what me and the M have brought up and we've talked about here is, you really see what a coach is made of, especially a new coach, when the bullets start flying, right? When the adversity starts and the bullet starts flying, and you see him and he's basically telling you, I embrace the adversity. I wait for the adversity. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's when we find out what we really are. And that's what you find out as a man, as a player, as a coach. When the shit hits the fan, that's when you find out what you're really made of. And that's what he's basically saying to everyone right there. And I'm going to be honest with you, I respect the hell out of it. Absolutely respect the hell out of what he said there at the end in terms of the adversity, because that's a question a lot of people have. First, it was, well, are people going to want to come and are people going to follow him? And what? Coaches followed him to Miami. Players came to Miami because of him. So that answered the other question. Now, the other big question a lot of people was asking is, what's it going to be like when the bullets start flying? When it gets real, what's it going to be like for Mike McDaniel? And he's already telling you without anyone even asking him, I'm waiting for it. I can't wait for the adversity. I embrace it. It's not a matter of, people try to avoid it. I know it's coming. And that is a huge, that is a huge, huge mindset and mind frame to be in. And I respect the hell out of it, man. Makes me even more excited for what McDaniel's going to do in year one. I think he's going to, year one coaches tend to struggle a little bit. I think he's going to blow people's socks off, man. So, all right, a couple other things I want to get in here before we wrap it up. I want to talk about this again because I've had to cover it multiple times, and it was in the Monday Morning Quarterback. So this is something I've been meaning to write about for a while. A market correction could be and should be coming for NFL head coaches. I'll put out the example of Sean Payton to provide context here. The Florida Sun Sentinel reported Monday that ex-Saints coach was offered a 5-year, $100 million deal to take the Miami job earlier this year. I'm told the offer itself was actually $100 million over 4 years. Before that, in New Orleans, my understanding is Payton was on a 5-year deal worth $80 million when everything was added up. So we walked away from $16 million per year and could have gotten $20 million per year. Sounds like a lot, but is it? So anyways, let's focus on this part here. Guys, I don't know why this keeps popping up here. All right. Miami did not offer Sean Payton a single solitary dollar. Miami did not get past picking up the phone call and calling the New Orleans Saints. Multiple teams called the New Orleans Saints, including the Dallas Cowboys, to inquire about Sean Payton, and they were all hung up on. So now that we're hearing numbers come out, this is as cap as it gets. And here's my issue here. I've told you guys before. I've got legitimate text messages. I've got legitimate receipts. Okay? Everything I've pieced together was Harbaugh was telling people inside the league Sunday night, only a few days before the allegations of Flores against the Dolphins hit, that he was in the mix for the job and he thought he was going to get the job. I'm telling you right now, the idea was Harbaugh and Brady before the allegations hit. Sean Payton was never an option because the New Orleans Saints did not allow him to be. So I don't know who's talking about this. I don't know where this is coming from, but this is not correct. This is incorrect. The only coaching guy, the only vet coach that was potentially going to be paired with Payton was going to be Harbaugh. And the reason why it was going to be Harbaugh was because of the Michigan connection. And I have receipts of him telling an NFL coach just 2 or 3, what was it? It was a Sunday night. The allegations hit on Tuesday or Wednesday. The allegations hit on Tuesday because he went and visited Minnesota on Wednesday. So just 2 nights before the allegations hit, I have him telling an NFL coach, I have the receipts, that he's in the mix for Miami and that he thought he was going to get the job. So there you go. There you go. I don't know what else to say. This story, non-story that people are trying to make into a story right now, I don't know why, but Sean Payton, we never offered him jack. We never offered Sean Payton anything. I got a few donations here through PayPal. Shout out. Let me just... So I got a donation from Mems that I forgot to read, a $9 donation. And he said, one love reason, appreciate you. That was actually from a couple days ago. That was on June 10th. So I just, that was at the end of the show. And the homie Rhino Sith, the god of the mod squad, made a PayPal donation, $61. Wow, Rhino said, keep up the good work, Reason. Miss everyone. And he said he's enjoying, it looks like he's enjoying I'm enjoying myself, cruising around the world. See you all soon. Fins up. I can't wait for you to be back, Rhino. I missed the hell out of you, guy. I tried to call you last week and your phone was off. Miss you, Rhino. I hope all is good, man. So yeah, the whole Payton thing, non-story. Don't know why it's even being talked about. Don't know why it's making Monday Morning Quarterback. It's not a real thing. That's just what it is. All right? It's not a real thing. Harbaugh was the guy that the allegations stymied. It was Harbaugh that the allegations hit, not Sean Payton. Sean Payton had no deal in place, and no money was talked about with Sean Payton to become the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And you know what my issue with this is? So what, now Mike McDaniel's got to go through this? Tua got to go through this last year with Sean Watson and all these other quarterbacks. Now we got to put Mike McDaniel through this with Sean Payton. Oh, yeah, you're the coach, but you weren't supposed to be the coach. Stop. The right guy's in charge right now. And then finally, guys, interesting thing here from Arjun Menon of PFF. He said the highest success rate of EPA over 0 versus perfectly covered plays since 2019. Tua Tagovailoa, number 4 highest success rate versus perfectly covered plays. And I'm going to show you a chart here. And again, EPA is something we've talked about a lot of times on here. Again, EPA is expected points added. And that's just EPA is just another way of basically trying to figure out someone's what's it called? Someone's, oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Someone's value on the field, but also someone's value towards putting points on the board, right? Expected points added is basically just a statistic used to measure the value of individual plays in terms of points. So it's just, they calculate the expected points by down, distance, and field position at the start of a play, and there you go. And that's how you get it added. So EPA is something we've always talked about on this channel multiple times, and we've shown charts of EPA. And I thought this was very interesting that Tua had the highest, the 4th highest success rate versus perfectly covered plays since 2019. Right? So that's a 2-year sample size, basically. And we're going back to even before he came in the NFL by 1 year. I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence, small sample size, but he's number 1. Just added Patrick Mahomes. Now, obviously, Mahomes and Rodgers been 2 and 3, hold a little more weight than Lawrence and Tua because they larger sample sizes, right? So when we actually look at the chart, what the chart that was being brought up, that this was taken from, was this. Basically how quarterbacks perform versus perfectly covered plays and non-perfectly covered plays since 2019. Now, you're probably looking at this and you're seeing small dots, but then you're seeing bigger dots, right? Well, the bigger the dot means they faced more perfectly covered plays. That's the sample size. The dots represent the sample size. Smaller the dot, lower the sample size. Bigger the dot, bigger the sample size. Right? So, when you look at perfectly covered plays, Tua gives you, looks pretty decent there, right? So perfectly covered plays also are plays where every coverage player has a neutral or positive grade, right? And dot size is, again, passes versus perfectly covered plays. So you look at it, and Tua, he's actually, obviously, what's crazy is he's more successful against perfectly covered plays than he is against non-perfectly covered plays. Right? So he's just under 0.20 EPA for perfectly covered plays. And then you look at, non-perfectly covered plays where, a guy like Rodgers is sitting at just over, he's at 0.47. So more than double Tua. Mahomes doubled Tua basically. He's at about 42.5. Sorry, 425, I guess would be it, because it'd be 0.425. But you look at Tua, and Tua, it's kind of crazy, man. Perfectly covered plays, top 5. Non-perfectly covered plays, when he's got to create and he's out of his element and you got to improvise a little bit. I mean, and that also shows you too, right? Non-perfectly covered plays, busted coverages fall into that. And there were multiple times where him and Brissett missed. I mean, you go back to the early weeks of the season last year, and Albert Wilson, I was showing Albert Wilson whether it was Brissett or Tua, and he was getting missed down wide open downfield by both guys. So that's why I say Tua's got to get better at reading all three levels, right? And you look at Herbert really making his money against non-perfectly covered plays, right? But when it comes to perfectly covered plays, Herbert's a bit of an issue. Just like Matt Stafford. Look at Matt Stafford. Absolutely phenomenal against non-perfectly covered plays, but perfectly covered plays, you know, he's not really that good. So, and Sam Darnold, just another world. Cam Newton is just in another world. So, kind of interesting. I thought that was an interesting, you know, interesting polar opposite of each other. Interesting study. And, you know, you would expect with especially with the way the media paints him, Tua would feast and get majority of his stats on non-perfectly covered plays, not on perfectly covered plays. So that was kind of that was kind of interesting to me. Kind of stuck out. And yeah, and that's it too, right? You had wide receivers who dropped a lot of balls going back all the way to 2020 that are going to impact that. So, we know how good he was against tight windows. We know PFF had him great, had him, I believe, the highest graded quarterback in the NFL in a clean pocket. Right? Again, the tight window throws, he was number 1 in the league in tight window throw attempts. No separation from our receivers. We've been seeing that since 2020. Well, 2019, if we really want to go back before Tua. But Tua have been seeing it since day one. And that's what's just so amazing about when you look at all these different statistics that Tua's managed to rise above the bullshit in is he had no protection. He had a historically bad 32-second offensive line. He had an inept offensive staff. He had player personnel that was pigeonholed in the receiving and the tight end core. Lack of a run game. I mean, we're running an RPO heavy offense, and we haven't even established the run. Kind of crazy when you actually take everything into consideration and see the results we got. Because quite frankly, if you look at everything that's happened, guys, we should have results that scream bust right now. And we don't. We have results that scream, okay, competent NFL starting quarterback, but what's the ceiling? Because of the ineptitude around him, from the coaching personnel to player personnel, we don't know what his ceiling is. And that's why the offensive line was upgraded, the run game was upgraded, the receiver room was upgraded, and the staff was upgraded by bringing in guys like Darrell Bevell and Frank Smith. So now we can gauge what his ceiling is going to be, and we can see, is he going to take that leap forward this next year, or are we going to have to move off of him? Will Levis QB1 if we do. So it's very interesting, contrast when you look at how everything's played out. I mean, the guy's been given nothing but a bunch of turds and been asked to polish them in and turn them into gold. Right? I mean, this is a guy who averaged, I believe it was 2.3 seconds. He had an average time of under 2.5 seconds. While Josh Allen out here, 3 seconds to throw the football. The fact of the matter is, to be successful in this league, especially at the position, time and protection are of the necessity, and some semblance of a run game to take the pressure off of the passing game. Right? We saw way too much and way too many times last year where defenses knew what was coming at them. And that's because there was no threat of a run game. There was nothing. It was not until Duke Johnson showed up and we started moving the football. So, is what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. We had over 510 people here at one point. I appreciate all of you guys for coming through. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Verone McKinley prospect preview coming this week. David Furones is going to be joining the show either this week or next. We're just working out his schedule. So we got some stuff coming for you. And as always, I'm going to be bringing you content as much as I can. So I'm going to be back tomorrow night. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. And I will see all y'all tomorrow. Until then, you already know what time it is, man. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. Fins up all day, every day. And Tyreek and Tua are going to ball and make these people look foolish. Let's get it, baby. Appreciate all of y'all. I'll see all y'all tomorrow. Smash that like button.